Hello everyone, it's Kelly here from Spiritual Awakening Signs, coming to you today with a video all about spirit animals. This is a topic I think you'll really enjoy it, and they can bring you incredible messages and guidance and wisdom, and they've been a really big part of my awakening journey. So I'm looking forward to sharing this with you and making it something that can be a larger part of your awakening and the guidance that you get from the universe. So we're going to get into today, we're going to talk about what spirit animals actually are and how they can guide you forward with their wisdom and their messages. So we're going to talk about things like how to spot them, you know, where they're going to show up in your life, how to find out what spiritual message they have for you. And I'm also interested to hear anyone's spirit animals that they resonate with, anything that's been showing up recently. I think you'll find that once we talk on this video and I explain a little bit about it, spirit animals are going to start showing up for you, because that tends to be the case. Once we put our focus on it, the universe knows that we can get messages that way, and it starts to become a bit more of a big deal. So we'll get into that in a moment, but please do say hello, tell me who you are and where you're from. And of course, let me know if there's any spirit animals that you resonate with in particular, and we'll get talking about that, which will be really interesting. So I'm looking forward to getting into this this topic. So like I said, if you've ever seen a spirit animal, if it's something that you resonate with, maybe there's a particular animal that shows up all the time or that showed up since your awakening began. These are all really relevant points, so let us know what resonates with you. And we'll cover that just shortly. But yeah, I can see we've got a few hellos coming in already. Please do say hello. I love to give you guys a shout out. We've got Jackson from Toronto, hi there. We've got Karen, she's from USA as well, so fantastic. And feel free, anyone else, to say hello as well. We're always happy to have you. So spirit animals, let's talk about what they really are. In a nutshell, spirit animals are messengers. They are messengers from the universe, from your guides, from spirit, whatever name you want to give that. They are the messengers that are there to kind of cause you to take note of a particular sign, a particular message. They make sure that it stands out enough that you're going to really get the message that you're meant to get, which is really fantastic. Now for me, spirit animals have been a really big part of my awakening journey. It all began before I even knew anything about spirit animals. When my awakening began, I remember that I one day was outside walking around and I felt this incredible presence above me. It was like a real energetic power that I felt, and I looked up into the sky and this huge heron flew right overhead, through right over, and I was like, whoa, what is that? It had such, wasn't just about looking at a bird, looking up and seeing a bird. It was like, oh my god, the power that kind of emanated off the energy that I felt as it flew overhead was like really arresting. I was like, oh my god, you know, what is that? And it had this real impact on me. There was more to it than just looking up and seeing a bird fly overhead, even though I'd never seen a heron in real life ever before, ever. So I knew something was up, but I still wasn't sure what it was. And then the next day, I went out, and again, I was out walking to my car, look up, and this heron flies overhead again, right? And I'm like, what are the odds of that? That's too bizarre. That's just too strange. This powerful, powerful energy. I was like, what is that? Third day, out I go, flies overhead again. And these are all in different areas, different places. I think one day I was at the park, one day I was out driving. Incredible. Flew overhead, and I was like, right, something's going on. I'd seen this 3 times now, and I remember telling, you know, my friends, my family, and I'm like, do you know I've seen a heron like 3 times? Like, what is that? And everyone's kind of going, okay, Kel, like, okay. And then I went out, the 4th day, I looked out of my window in my home, and I saw this huge heron fly over, and I was like, okay, something's up here, this means something. And that was when I really started my journey with spirit animals and what they mean. And when I looked it up, the message that I was getting was that it was not only a new beginning, it was very much about a new start, but it was also about the fact that I was getting messages from above. It really meant that it was a symbol that I was going to be getting more messages, and I felt the power of that, and I knew there was something deeply meaningful about the fact that I had seen these herons. It really meant a lot to me. And it started a journey of, you know, when things were going on in my life or when I needed guidance, I would see a spirit animal and it'd be like, what is this? So really excited to share this with you guys. And again, let me know, say hello, but let me know if there's a spirit animal in particular that resonates with you. You're going to know by the end of this how to spot them, which is fantastic. And we'll just say a few more hellos as well. Hi to Anne from Greenland. Hello there. We've got Mary from Queensland in Australia, awesome. We've got Tracy from British Columbia, and Nancy from Salem, Oregon. Fantastic, guys. So spirit animals, like I said, are messengers. They're going to give you guidance and wisdom from the universe about things you need to watch out for, things that may be coming up, what to do, how to think for your highest and best good. And also they might represent some traits that you have. So you might find that there's an animal that shows up for you continuously and you recognise that there is a similarity in the traits that show up for that animal and the traits that show up for you. So as an example, I went through a phase of seeing deer everywhere. Deer kept coming up and it was like, what is this thing about deer? And it was because a deer really is the full embodiment of an empath in their power. They're very sensitive. They pick up cues from the universe, from the world around them. They're very aware of their environment. They're deeply sensitive. Really lovely, lovely animals. They can be gentle, but they can also defend themselves. So it's like you need to look at what's really showing up for you every time these animals kind of crop up, which is really awesome. But spirit animals can show up in your life in many different ways. So you might notice that a spirit animal is something that shows up in your real life. So they are real things, okay? We're not talking about you think you saw something flying through the sky and it's not there. Maybe it is and we don't know, but I don't think that's the case. They're real animals that kind of spirit or the universe uses their presence just to bring an energy to you, to give you a message, okay? So they are real life. So you might find that they show up in real life. So like me, I look up into the sky, I see a heron flying overhead. That might be a thing. For others, it might be that you see something showing up in the media all the time. Maybe you see it on TV. Maybe you notice the animal in a cartoon. Maybe you know, someone comes in with a little teddy or a toy and you're like, there's that animal again. It starts showing up in different places, like objects. And it could also be in your dreams or your visions when you're meditating, things like that show up. These are all ways that the spirit animals come to you to give you their message, okay? And I'm going to go into a bit how you can find their message, but I'm going to share with you the reason why I'm actually bringing up this video is because my partner and I had an experience of a spirit animal the other day and it was really bizarre, and I want to show you how it can go against your perceptions, okay? So it can be something totally against your perceptions. So when my partner and I, kind of towards the beginning when we kind of got together, I remember we had this one time where he was telling me about how he'd always had this issue when he was a kid, and he used to draw dots. He would draw these little circles. He would draw and draw and draw them. He said he used to draw them all the time, and then it would start to freak me out. I didn't know what that was. And as he started to talk about it, all these past life memories came up, and this one in particular came up that was to do with the plague, and it was all to do about how he'd caught the plague. And I think, if I remember rightly, the vision we had was that the rats had eaten him, he'd been left to die. It was a really traumatic past life experience, and it was all to do with rats. And as a result of that, throughout this lifetime, rats had been a source of absolute terror. I mean, to the level of phobia. He was absolutely terrified and paralysed by rats. So we knew when that came up, it was like, okay, past life thing, understandable, you know, rats carry disease and there's this awful plague, past life memory. So we knew we had to clear it, and we did. But it still had a bit of an issue, and rats have showed up a few times, and more recently, just a few months ago, my partner actually said to me, he said, I keep getting images of rats below the floorboards. He says, it's really freaking me out, this is really weird. It's like, it's almost as if I can sense the warmth of them moving underneath my feet. It's really bizarre kind of intuition to get. And we were both like, that can't be the case, because, you know, no one else is complaining about it. Like, we're not having any issues. Like, doesn't seem to be an issue where we live. So that was fine. And we left it at that. And then just a few days ago, we were out walking, and we're in a busy park. There's lots of people kind of walking around, although it's very rural. And we're walking, there's all these other animals. There's birds, there's geese, there's you know, there's like, we could see magpies, there's frogs, there's like all this different stuff. And quite a lot of people, there's dogs, you know, people are walking their dogs. And all of a sudden, we look to the side of us just a few feet away, and there is a rat on the grass, plain as day. We've never seen a rat there before. But the strange thing about this rat is that it had a different reaction to what my partner had before. Now, my partner would have been terrified because of this past life memory and all the stuff that's happened, but he didn't. He was like, there's a rat. And we looked over, and it didn't look like a kind of scary sewer rat. It was almost like a field mouse, you know, that kind of, it was quite cute. And we looked over and we're like, there's a rat. like right next to us. And it was just going about its business, digging about in the grass, doing what it wanted to do. And we were both like, what is that? And it took me a moment because it was so bizarre amongst so many people for an animal not to scurry away, for it not to be frightened, for it not to be alarmed by dogs and children and things like that. And I knew when that happened, and that's the sign you want to look out for. When something like that happens, it's like, you know, it's kind of an indicator that something's up. You know, you're like, this doesn't make sense, this is bizarre. That's a sign that you are in the presence of a spirit animal, and the animal is shown up for a reason. And we'd been talking about all the plans that we had. He'd been talking about some projects he'd had, and we were kind of talking about how we would manage, you know, how like this is quite a big undertaking, how we're going to manage all that. And this wonderful spirit animal showed up, and it was all about kind of moving out of survival and leaving those kind of patterns behind and being in a place where you can achieve your goals, your dreams, everything can work out okay. And we were both like, great, high five, like we got a spirit animal. It was so awesome. So these things can happen often, and you need to be on the lookout for that, but you'll know because it has that weird kind of like, what is that animal doing there? Why is nobody else kind of noticing how weird this is? Or why is it not reacting to me? There's got to be something odd about it that makes you take notice. That's when you know it's a spirit animal. So kind of like me. And if you want to look up the meaning, the best way to do it that I found is just to get out your phone and put into Google whatever the name of the animal is and spirit animal meaning. Okay, if you do that, there are many different sites on. And what I would say is go for the 3 times rule. So take a look at the spirit animal, click on the site, have a little browse through what it says. Certain things may pop out to you. And if you do that 3 times in total, you'll notice that there is a theme. There is one particular message or one particular thing that has been the same over 3. And that's usually how I kind of get the confirmation of exactly what the message is for me. And you'll feel it when you read it. You'll know what resonates. So just literally go into Google, say like for me it was rat, spirit, animal meaning. Go through 3 of them and look for what's standing out, and you'll get your answer. It's great. So fantastic. And also something that I want to cover is how to tell the difference between a normal animal and a spirit animal. So you're looking for it to show up unexpectedly. So not necessarily somewhere that they would never be, although that can be the case, but you're looking for something where it's like, why is this showing up now? There's something strange or bizarre about this. Like myself and my partner, we see this rat literally a few feet away from us in a crowded, busy park, and it's just going about its business as if no one else is there, you know, as if it was completely tame, and we're going, that's a bit weird. That's a spirit animal, that's what you're looking for, so be on the lookout for that. Now I'm going to take some questions. If you have any questions about spirit animals whatsoever, now my knowledge is only as far as kind of the spirit animals that I tend to be in contact with that affected me, so can't necessarily always give you meanings, but you know how to look out for them. So yes, let's see. So I can see a few people are telling us the different things that they've seen. Kirsty says, wow, a heron, you don't see them often, that's amazing. Yes, absolutely, it looks like she's from Scotland as well. You don't see them very often, it is really bizarre. We've got Anne from Brunswick, thanks for joining us. I can see that Nancy says, I get tons of hummingbirds and other birds in my backyard daily. So look up the hummingbird meaning, because there's a reason. Now hummingbirds very much can be about transformation, and they can also be about joy, you know, like a kind of effervescent personality, life and soul of the party. So it might be something that is moving into your space, it might be an aspect of your personality, or there might be something else there that's just meaningful to you. We've got Kirstine is from Ireland, fantastic. Let's see. Now we've got Jackson here says, in the second video of space clearing you mentioned guides and said to look for signs that it can happen in 3s. So I mentioned this in the space cleaning energy cleanse that we released just recently. He says, a couple of weeks later I saw 3 dead mice in the same spot on a city street. Definite sign. Then a dead mouse and a dead chipmunk on a trail a few days later. Don't know if this qualifies. Absolutely. So what you're looking for there is the fact that you're seeing so many things that are dead, and this is a key point to look up for. Usually anything that you see that is dead is the end of a cycle. It's the end of some sort of era or cycle or pattern or challenge. So what you want to be looking at is the type of animals that are coming up there. So you've got mice, you've got a chipmunk. So you might want to look them up as spirit animals and see what they represent, and there will be something, to me it's probably something negative. It feels more like it's coming to the end of something negative in your life. look for the thing that tends to stand out for. And the thing that's coming up for me is hiding. There's something to do with hiding or not wanting to be seen. So look for that in those spirit animals and see what jumps out. But it feels like you're coming to the end of that particular pattern. But it definitely qualifies. It's weird. Sometimes you'll notice you see a lot of roadkill. That's happened to me before, and you're like, why do we keep seeing this particular thing? I can remember going through a phase where me and my partner saw lots of dead pheasants. Pheasants are definitely a big deal here in Scotland, but not that common to see when you're driving around. And we were on rural country roads, and I remember we saw something like 5 in a row, and I was like, this has got a meaning to it. So you're always wanting to look up, what does that mean? It doesn't necessarily always mean that it's the end, but if it's dead animals, it tends to mean something negative is kind of wrapping up usually. Just have a look at what the meaning is and pick out what it means for you. Tracy says she resonates with deers and dragonflies quite deeply. Dragonflies were a big thing for me too. Again, all about transformation, all about the kind of magical aspects of spirituality, and can be very much about intuition as well. But take a look and see what stands out to you. Mary says, I've been seeing crows and it's like they're watching me. I know they're a powerful animal, they very are, for the Indians anyway. Not sure what an Australian crow is, if it's like the raven, beautiful black birds. Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter necessarily specifically where you are. Sometimes you'll find specific on the spirit animal that you're looking for, but if you just look for the general, if there's a crow, look for a crow. Birds generally are all about seeing things from a higher vantage point, because as you can imagine, they have this kind of higher standpoint from where they are. They can look down and see everything and get an idea of where everything's, how everything's working out. So it's very much about seeing things from a spiritual perspective, but there may be a specific meaning to do with crows, so do look that up. Let's see. I can see that Kirstine says he's coming to help him overcome the fears. I think that's probably in relation to the rat that I mentioned. Yeah, absolutely. And the weird thing was, when we saw the rat, the thing that was different was usually that would trigger such a terrified response in my partner because of that past life stuff. Now granted, we've healed a lot of it, so he doesn't really get that in the same way anymore, but he was just totally calm, and it was more like, oh look at that little rat, that's really cute. And it had a totally different energy about it. There was no fear. So if there's animals that you're afraid of and they show up as spirit animals in any sense, you might notice that the reaction you thought you were going to have just isn't there. And that would be another sign that it's about the message. It's not about the fear. Spirit's getting the message to you anyway. So very, very interesting. Mary says, I also had a cocoon on my desert rose plant. When it hatched, the butterfly stayed with me, actually on my arm. That is so cool. Cleaning himself off and drying out until he flew off. It was with me for over an hour. Oh, a fantastic spirit animal experience. She said, I had a moment with him that day that was such a beautiful moment. Words do not describe. I kept getting the feeling of the end of my traumatic few years. Now that's fantastic, because what you're really doing is you're listening to the feelings and the emotions that you're getting, so you know what it's really about. You're getting the message as you connect with that spirit animal, and you had the time to do that, which is just wonderful. She says, transformation, growth, and the beginning of my next adventure, a stronger, wiser, better version of myself. It was beautiful. That is fantastic. Well done for all that you picked up there. That is excellent. Nancy says, one hummingbird landed on my arm. Right, well, you've got to take that as a spirit animal for sure. You've got to take these things when they do bizarre things like that. So I remember once, for me, I was out one day. This happens a lot with me and my partner. There's just a lot of bizarre animals come around us, but we were talking about some of the projects we wanted to get done, some of the spiritual work we wanted to do, and there was a bee that just followed me everywhere. It just kind of came around, wouldn't leave me, landed on my hand, and then kind of floated away, and then was round my head, and it was there for ages. And I'm not afraid of bees, so I was just kind of like, oof, get out of the way a little bit. But it was so persistent that eventually I was like, this is a spirit animal. And it was all about being a busy bee, stepping forward, getting past procrastination, like actually doing what you want to do to bring your desires into manifestation and into reality. So, they show up all the time. Pay attention to the weird things that happen, because it's in the weird that you're going to really get the message. Hi Bonnie, there she is from Canada. Thanks for joining us. That's okay if you missed some, you can just rewind it. Let's see, so we'll just answer a few more questions and comments, and then we'll finish up for today. But if there's anything else you want to know about spirit animals, do let me know. Cindy says she's been drawn to ravens for many years. She has one that visits and brings his young to me every year, and a grey fox that comes every year to den and raise kits. I look out for these animals and I feel there's a reason why they look out for me. There is. I do feel I can read the energy of animals easier than people, but I would love to know the significance of ravens and foxes. I feel so drawn to protect and care for them. Bless your light and thank you. You're very welcome. Well, what to do is take a look at the meanings online, because like I said, sometimes, you know, I'm saying, oh, this means this and this means that, but you need to look at it to see the kind of spectrum of what it could mean, so that you can kind of go, oh, it feels like it's that, and you'll know, so that you're getting the right message. So there'll be a reason why you're so connected to them. And I'll give you an example as well. When my awakening began, I became really obsessed with magpies. Out of the blue, it was just like, oh my god, I love magpies. Like, I just want magpies all around. There were magpies all around where I lived. And it was a really rural area. They were landing on the window ledge. They were all kind of gathering in the garden, in the space around the home. And it was like, you know, when I was walking places, I felt like they were following me down the street. It was like, God, these magpies are everywhere. And I came to the realisation that for me, it was very much about the whole. So a spiritual awakening, there's the light, there's the dark, which is the yin and yang, and then there's this kind of oil slick colour that they've got on their wings that kind of shimmers like a kind of blue or a green or a purple. And that was all about the magic and the spirituality and how all this comes together. So that was meaningful to me. But what did happen was we ended up with, there was a magpie that kept coming around where I lived, and it had this, it had no voice box. So you would see this, or it had a damaged voice box, you would see this magpie arrive, and I would know when it was there, because when it would go to kind of call out, it showed up that it was very much about the fact that I'm stepping into my power and speaking my truth, and that's what that magpie was all about. That was the message it was here to give me, and I had to really listen. And it's amazing, because over about 5 years, and you know, since then, I've seen it show up at times where it's like I need a little nudge to be in a place where I speak my truth. So watch out for these things, because there is absolutely a reason why they show up. It's the most magical thing. It's really, really special. And the more you get used to looking these things up, the more they'll make themselves present. The more that you'll see them, and the universe will communicate with you in that way. And for me, it brings a lot more spirituality into the groundedness of daily life, because sometimes we feel like there's a bit of a void there. You know, we're either really spiritual or really grounded in the earth, and we don't really like the earthly bit too much. But if you bring spirit animals into it, it can feel that there's a lot more meaning in what you see round about you. So that's interesting. Barb says, I've been looking at buying a house. A chipmunk in the rain came up to my shoes and sat there at a property I was looking at. Definite spirit animal. We thought it was a sign I was going to win the bid, but I didn't. Well, sometimes we don't always get the message quite right. Sometimes we're not sure what it means, but if you do that method that I've said of looking it up online, so you're going chipmunk, spirit animal meaning, Google it, notice what comes up online, and go through at least 3. You're looking for a repetition 3 times of one specific thing. That usually it will jump out to you, but it might just be like over 3 different sites, you see the same thing 3 times, the same meaning, so then you'll know what it is. But yeah, there's got to be a little message in there for you, I'm certain. Okay, we've got, I'm just going to say hello, is it CG? I hope I'm saying that correctly, from Mumbai. Hello there. Let's see, and we've got Mary says, thank you Kelly, as always you leave me feeling enlightened with a smile on my face. Oh, that's lovely, thank you so much. She says, thank you so much for all you do and share. It means so much. It means so much to me to be able to share this. Like, I really appreciate you guys coming in and listening, and I hope that what I share is helpful, because I really love doing this work, and it's definitely feels like the life purpose for me. Okay, right, we're going to finish up, but I can see there's a note here. I felt an urge to draw kingfisher and some coincidences that happened with the kingfisher. A friend saved this bird from a well the next day. That's very interesting. So the kingfisher showed up twice for you, so have a little look online. That's CG telling us that. Have a little look online and see what it means, because there's a reason why it's showing up in a way that you can't avoid it. You literally can't avoid it. Really powerful spirit message. That's awesome. Right guys, so we're going to finish up today, because I could talk about spirit animals all day and I really love it. But please let us know, even if you're watching live, obviously you can let us know. If you're watching the replay, let us know what spirit animals are showing up for you, and let me know if you found out what meaning it was and if it really resonated with you, because that's just so exciting. It's fantastic. Also, remember to click below to be notified whenever we go live and to see all the new videos that we put up as well. We want to share these with you, and of course I need you guys all to be there, otherwise it's just me talking to myself about spirituality, which I usually do. So you guys have a good day, take care, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.